Are you a robot? I gotta ask because it's I know I ain't the only one who come to this conclusion, but it's amazing. It's actually intriguing. And to an extent, it's concerning that we're in an era where we got robots asking humans and higher beings, are we robots? We got machines asking us, are we machines, basically? Now, I don't know about y'all, but for me, that's concerning. That's very concerning. You hear me? You ever ask yourself, what is the world coming to? Because many times I found myself asking myself that question concerning happenings, concerning events, concerning occurrences, concerning experiences that I have had as an individual and that I have shared in as part of the collective. Until I got to the point where I stopped asking myself that question. Because the more that I asked myself that question, I realized that it was past, and what we seeing and what we witnessing is past the question. You know, because what we witnessing and what we seeing is the aftermath. You know, whatever the world coming to, it don't already became. I repeat, whatever the world coming to, it don't already became. It has happened already. So what we're seeing is the aftermath of that. You hear me? And from that place, and from those observations, it put me in a place to where I start working to get myself in a space. If you don't listen, you're gonna miss it. Where me and my higher self became able to work as a team because I am my higher self. So, in acknowledgement of that, my question to you is, which way are you going? And by that I mean, which way are you growing? To say, if you don't know nothing else, if we don't know nothing else, because I'm not excluded, we need to know that for ourselves, which way we going / growing. And I point that out because unwelcome circumstances happen every day. You know, it's not a day that we wake up and something unwelcome to some degree or other hasn't occurred, you know. And we wake up every day living through it. I feel safe to say living through it. But my purpose in saying that is, whatever the circumstance, whatever the occurrence, whatever the happening, we can't let nothing or no one stop us from seeing the light at the end of our own tunnel. You can't let nothing or no one stop you from seeing the light at the end of your tunnel, you know, or stop you from reaching it. Now, I don't know what that may mean to you or what that may mean for you, but I hope it means something. And I say that because this ain't no time for slacking. This ain't no time for distractions. This ain't no time to be unfocused. Although as I said, unwelcome circumstances happen every day, all the time. You know, if not concerning us, maybe concerning somebody we know. You know, and when our time come on another day. But this ain't no time for slacking. And although we may experience things that permit us or prompt us to stray off course, you know, or certain things pop up that may distract us from the course, I want to remind us that it's only to make sure that we stay on course. You hear me? And when we find ourselves being led off whatever path we may consider ourselves on, it's okay. It's okay. That's you know, don't beat yourself up about it. You know, pick yourself back up and get back on track. The purpose ain't to stay strayed off. The purpose ain't to keep straying off. The purpose ain't to keep veering off course. It's just a test. You know, it's a test to make sure that for one, if we got our seat belts fastened, you hear me, or how tight we got our seatbelt fastened. And the reason that I say that is because change don't happen to those that don't want it. Change don't happen to those that don't want it, and change don't happen for those that don't want it. But as I said, it's a test, which means it's that much more important to stick to whatever script that you have prescribed for yourself. Not the scripts that's been prescribed for you, because most of the scripts that's been prescribed for us, you know, has most to do with, from my observation, externalizing. But the prescription that we should be prescribing for ourselves deals with everything internal. And it's important to stick to the scripts that we have written for ourselves, or that we are beginning to write for ourselves according to what we have already seen, experienced, and discovered or uncovered. It's to stick to the script of our elevation and expansion on our personal path to self-improvement. And that ain't gonna mean the same thing to everybody, because everybody not in the same place, you know, of change, of healing, of going through what gotta be got through, so forth and so on. So it's gonna mean something different to each and everybody who hear, and it should. But I say it the way that I do because if we ain't figured it out yet, it's pretty clear we all not here to self-improve. I repeat, if we haven't figured it out yet, it should be made pretty clear that we all are not here to self-improve. Matter of fact, it's gonna be people come in as well as out our life to see if they can knock you off course, they can knock you off balance. You know, to test, is your change really real? Is your self-improvement really real? So as I said earlier, you know, change don't happen for those who don't really want it. And change don't happen to those who don't really want it. And I know the last thing we would want to think is everybody we know don't mean us well. Well, I'm here to tell you, everybody you know don't mean you well. That's why vibration, frequency, you know, is so important. But if you ain't figured it out or saw it for yourself, as of yet, I would say keep living. And in all of that, for those who seek a change, improvement, and all the other good things. You hear me? Keep living, but don't stop seeking the goodness in yourself that you would like to see in the world around you, or in externalized reality. And I say that because growth is offensive to those who not. You hear me? So stay focused. Stay focused. That's the message that was put on my heart. Short, sweet, you know. We still dealing with energy management. So yeah, short and sweet. I'm gonna close us out with an oracle. With an oracle message. You hear me? And give us something to marinate on, you know, for the rest of our time, wherever we may find ourselves at. Speak to yourself with kindness. Speak to yourself with kindness. Become aware of how you speak to yourself. And that's so important, because how we speak to ourselves have a lot to do with how we feel. How we speak to ourselves has a lot to do with how we act, how we behave. You know, how we speak to ourselves has a lot to do with how we respond, you know, to situations, so forth and so on. But the card asking us to be aware of how we speak to ourselves, and speak to yourself with kindness. And depending on who you are, what you've been through, so forth and so on, many of us is not aware that that's a good habit to have, you know. Many of us, because many of us don't even have a habit of speaking to ourselves with kindness, according to what we may have experienced. But speak to yourself with kindness as much as you can, often as you can, as much as you can. You hear me? The stories we tell ourselves can create patterns. See, nothing changes until we change. And a lot of the changes that we're gonna have to make is concerning the things that we tell ourselves, because it's easy to repeat the same thoughts, which produce the same feelings, which produce the same things. So we have to, it's important to practice telling ourselves a different story. You know, speak kind to yourself. We are our worst critics. I know. I'm in flesh too. We could be our worst critics, and a lot of us used to being our worst critics. You know, and it's time to be our best cheerleader. Speak to yourself with kindness. The stories we tell ourselves can create the patterns. The stories we tell ourselves, my tongue getting tired. The stories we tell ourselves can create the patterns by which we live. Now, if you pay attention to the stories that you tell yourself, you probably will be able to see certain patterns, certain events that it's also connected to. So, if you want to see something different, you got to do something different. In our daily lives, the words that we choose to speak over ourselves can deeply influence how we think and how we act. We are often unaware, unconscious of just how critical our self-talk can be, or how often we engage in it. If you have pulled this card, then it may be time to review your self-talk. In a work exercise, if you are currently in a place of negative self-talk, This practice will focus on becoming aware of the negative self-talk as it occurs. As it occurs, when it's happening, you want to catch it when it's happening, because afterwards it's already too late. During this exercise, ask yourself, am I speaking to myself with love right now? It can be helpful to use an object, such as a piece of jewelry, as a physical reminder to speak to yourself kindly. An object of high value can be even more beneficial, particularly if your negative self-talk focuses on the idea of a lack of personal worth. If you can, choose an item of value and importance for this exercise. You are worth it. Once you have your object, practice becoming more aware of your self-talk. At the beginning of the day, I always talk about set it off at the beginning of the day. At the beginning of your day, set an intention to be aware of how you speak to yourself. And this is so important because a lot of us just repeat the things that has been spoken over our life, that others don't spoke into our life. So we really don't have a relationship of communication, a positive relationship of communication when it comes to us and how we talk to ourselves. At the beginning of the day, set an intention to be aware of how you speak to yourself. Throughout the day, as soon as you notice a negative thought, touch your object and remember that you are worthy of positive and hopeful self-talk. Whatever negative thoughts you had, speak the opposite to yourself or out loud. Even if you're around people, let them think you crazy. You hear me? They probably think your ass crazy anyway. You heard? Practice this as many times as you can throughout the day. If you feel that you need an extra dose of positive self-talk, think about 3 to 5 uplifting, affirming things you like about yourself. Write them down and place them somewhere you can easily see them. Say them to yourself or aloud every time you see the note. That's it, family. Speak kindness to yourself. Speak to yourself with kindness. You hear me? Speak to yourself with kindness. That's the quickest way to feeling good for no reason at all. You hear me? That concludes the message for the day. You hear me? Stillness, abundance, love, and light, health, and wholeness. You know, it's an honor to be authentically me. My name is Saul. You hear me? Conscious, cosmic consciousness family. Salute. New subscribe. Salute. Welcome to the family. Peekaboos and passerbys. Salute to y'all too. You hear me? Change don't happen till one makes up their mind that they won't change. And change don't happen unless we do something to change. You hear me? Whatever the change may be. You heard? Peace, hotel, shalom, assalamu alaikum, namaste, alafi, and all that other good stuff. My name is Saul the God. Thanks for the likes, shares, comments, questions, purchases, donations, all that good stuff, you hear me? Stay focused, family. My name is Saul. Love.